I want to ask you, so much talk about possibly invading Greenland, tensions around the world. If you look at China and Taiwan, Russia and Ukraine, and of course, we had what happened in Venezuela. Is there more upside for these stocks, or is everything already priced in?
The Monroe Doctrine mentioned as much as I have recently since high school. And, one of the things that's important is when you look at what the U.S. did this past weekend in the extradition of Nicolas Maduro, they really showed their military prowess and how far ahead they are of everybody else. There has been an emphasis for countries, especially in Europe and in NATO member countries, to build their own defense system. So the first thing we learned is that the U.S. is far advanced from everybody else, and they're going to put their foot to the metal because they want to take control of the Western Hemisphere and assert themselves. And then second, every other nation that is in control of their own defense now in Europe has to step up their game, and they've got to try to, shorten that gap in what they could do from a military standpoint. So we think there's a long runway for defense and aerospace stocks. And we think there's a lot more room to run over the next 3, 5, maybe even 10 years.
All right, so you see a pretty long runway. Dan, I want to come over to you. A lot of the articles you read about Venezuela talk about just the speed and the efficiency of this attack. I want to talk to you about some of the companies that you hold, like a Kratos, drone makers, people like that. Are we going to see more money going into that as we see this? It seems like this administration's desire to do these really fast-paced attacks.
Yeah, well, Frank, I'm sure you've covered on the show, the geopolitical environment changing, as you mentioned, Venezuela and NATO countries increasing their defense budgets. But stepping back, it's clear that space and defense is in vogue. But this is to say, the ARKX Space and Defense ETF has been around since March 2021. We're not new to this, and a lot of our holdings are supported by research-driven decisions. And you mentioned Kratos as a top holding, for example. So, I think there's a clear emerging trend of governments shifting dollars away from the expensive manned fighter jets, the likes you see Tom Cruise flying in the movies, to low-cost unmanned autonomous jets. Kratos is a leading provider of said unmanned low-cost autonomous jets that are ready to be fielded today. So that's just a taste of some of the disruptive innovators in our ETF.
All right, Paul, coming back over to you. Is this a rising tide, this runway that you see over the next 5 years potentially? Or does it go to certain companies like a Kratos, like a drone maker? Or are there companies that are more tech, inspired or tech fueled when it comes to defense, like a Palantir? Or does it also go to traditional weapons makers?
Yeah, so I think there's no doubt that technology is going to play a role. You can see the precision of the strikes that happened over the weekend. That said, the major defense companies play a huge role in this because not only do they, provide the aerospace and the avionics and the munitions, but they have to use that technology in order to be more precise and more accurate. And so I think they both play a big role. But for us, we want that pure play in defense. We think it helps complement portfolios that already have a huge position in tech. And we think you get that with our, transatlantic defense ETF NATO.
Paul, I want to ask you about something you just said, aerospace. You're talking a lot about aerospace, but the Trump administration has really built up the naval, arsenal, and they're really looking to expand that even more with more shipbuilding here in the U.S. as part of just that broader effort to kind of bring manufacturing here to the U.S. How can you play this, renewed emphasis on naval capabilities when it comes to stocks? Are there certain names that help you play that?
Yeah, I think a Northrop Grumman would help with that. Some of the other names that we have in the portfolio. For us, it's just a pure play on the entire defense sector. And again, when you think about building out the Navy, that helps with airstrikes because many of those planes that came in on that attack came in off of the water, off of naval aircraft, naval ships.
All right. Dan, coming back over to you. I think a lot of us have been reading about Greenland, not for the first time. Remember when the president first mentioned Greenland? Denmark's military does not compete with the U.S. I think we all know that. So if there were boots on the ground, it doesn't seem like it would be an intense armed conflict. Are there certain names that would help the U.S. acquire a territory potentially hostilely if that's what the Trump administration decides to do? Are there certain names that investors who want to kind of look around the corner at that potential they want to look at right now?
Sure. Well, I think for any defense initiative at the moment, what's critical are satellites. And at risk of stating the obvious, Frank, you need a rocket to get satellites to orbit. So, that's where Rocket Lab, one of our highest conviction names, comes in. Outside of SpaceX, they're the most active launch provider in the West. And And more importantly, they're actually leaning into national security recently. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago, they got the largest contract in the company's history, over $800 million for national security satellites. So, these are the type of disruptive innovators that we're heavily focused on, high conviction names, research-driven decisions.
So just talking about Greenland really quick for both of you guys, we have some Kalshi data right now on when this administration might look to take over Greenland. Those odds have moved to the upside. We're going to show it to you in just a second. Right now, will the U.S. take any part of Greenland, according to Kalshi? Yes, 42%, no, 58%. So a large number of people on Kalshi seem to think that's going to happen. I want to go back to you, Dan, for a minute. You mentioned SpaceX. You're not the only person to come on the show talking about SpaceX and some of the capabilities that it may have. We had a guest coming on saying it's really a communication services play due to the satellites, but you're saying it's a defense play due to the satellites, and also you hold it in one of your ETFs as well, just to point that out.
Yeah. So, it would be remiss of me to sit here speaking about space and defense and not mention SpaceX. I mentioned research-driven decisions. According to our research, we estimate they've cut launch costs by 95% since 2008. What that enables is more satellites in orbit. And what I would say is this trend we expect to continue. It'll be featured in our Big Ideas report in the coming weeks. But, on research, we published an open source valuation model on SpaceX last year in collaboration with Mach 33. And for anyone who has questions about SpaceX, I'd encourage you to look at that. You can download the Excel, test the assumptions, and figure out why we have such high conviction. And I say all of this, as you mentioned, Frank, there's talk of a SpaceX IPO next year, but for viewers, we have access to SpaceX today. It's in our venture fund, ARKVX, and you can get it there today. It's our top holding. And again, to reiterate, these are the disruptive innovators we think that are on the cutting edge of the space and defense industry.
All right, Paul, I'm going to give you the last word. You're seeing a lot of upside when it comes to these stocks, but we see a lot of upsides in a lot of areas, and valuation has been a concern sometimes. It hasn't been a concern other times. When you're looking at the valuation defense stocks, do you think they're fairly priced, overpriced, underpriced? How are you looking at it?
Yeah, I think they're fairly priced right now, and I think you have to look at where the money's going. The old saying, skate to where the puck is going. You don't know where the puck is going, but I can tell you this, you know where the investment's going. And with NATO increasing their spend, guaranteed up to 5% of their GDP over the next 10 years, you could safely say that they're going to have to build up their defense capabilities. That's going to go to some of the major companies in the United States and in Europe. And I think that's a safe bet to make for an investment, to think that, those companies are going to continue to get investment, with everything that's happening geopolitically.